Ezekiel Chapter 43. Afterward he brought me to the gate, even to the gate that looketh toward the east. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like the noise of many waters, and the earth shined with his glory. And it was according to the appearance of the vision which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. And the visions were like the vision that I saw by the river Chebar, and I fell upon my face. And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the east, by the way of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east. So the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house. And I heard him speaking unto me out of the house. And the man stood by me. And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne, and the places of the soles of my feet, where I dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. And my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile, neither they nor their kings by their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in their high places, in their setting of their threshold by my thresholds, and their post by my posts. And the wall between me and them, they have even defiled my holy name by their abominations that they have committed, wherefore I am consumed them in mine anger. Now let them put away their whoredom and the carcasses of their kings far from me, and I will dwell in the midst of them forever. Thou son of man, show the house to the house of Israel, and that they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and let them measure the pattern. And if they may be ashamed of all they have done, show them the form of the house, and the fashions thereof, and the goings out thereof, and the comings in thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the ordinances thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the laws thereof, and write it in their sight, that they may keep the whole form thereof, and all the ordinances thereof, and do them. This is the law of the house. Upon the top of the mountain, the whole limit thereof round about shall be most holy. Behold, this is the law of the house. And these are the measures of the altar after the cubits. The cubit is a cubit and a hand breadth. Even the bottom shall be a cubit, and the breadth a cubit, and the border thereof by the edges round about shall be a span, and this shall be the higher place of the altar. And from the bottom upon the ground, even to the lower settle shall be 2 cubits, and the breadth 1 cubit. And from the lesser settle even to the greater settle shall be 4 cubits, and the breadth 1 cubit. So the altar shall be 4 cubits, and from the altar upward shall be 4 horns. And the altar shall be 12 cubits long, 12 broad, square in the squares thereof. And the settle shall be 14 cubits long, and 14 broad in the 4 squares thereof. And the border shall about it shall be half a cubit, and the border thereof shall be a cubit round about. And his stairs shall look toward the east. And he said to me, Son of man, thus saith the Lord God, these are the ordinances of the altar in the day that thou shalt make it, to offer burnt offerings thereof, and to sprinkle blood thereon. Thou shalt give to the priests of the Levites that be of the seed of Zadok, which approach unto me, to minister unto me, saith the Lord God, a young bullock for a sin offering. And thou shalt take of the blood offering, and put it on the 4 horns of it, and on the 4 corners of the settle, and on the border round about. Thus shalt thou cleanse and purge it. Thou shalt take a bullock also of the sin offering, and he shall burn it in the appointed place of the house, without the sanctuary, and on the 2nd day thou shalt offer a kid of the goats without blemish for a sin offering. And they shall cleanse the altar as they did cleanse it with the bullock. Then, when thou hast made an end of cleansing it, thou shalt offer a young bullock without blemish, and a ram out of the flock without blemish. And thou shalt offer them before the Lord, and the priest shall cast salt upon them, and they shall offer them up for a burnt offering unto the Lord. 7 days shalt thou prepare a great goat. 7 days shalt thou prepare every day a goat for a sin offering. They shall also prepare a young bullock and a ram out of the flock without blemish. 7 days shall they purge the altar and purify it, and they shall consecrate themselves. And when these days are expired, it shall be that upon the 8th day and so forward the priests shall make their burnt offerings upon the altar, and your peace offerings, and I will accept you, saith the Lord God. Ezekiel chapter 44. Then he took me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east. And it was shut. And he said unto me, This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because the Lord, the God of Israel, hath entered in by it. Therefore it shall be shut. It is for the prince, he shall sit in it to eat bread before the Lord, and he shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. Then brought he me to the way of the north gate, before the house, and I looked, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord, and I fell upon my face. And the Lord said unto me, Son of man, mark well, and behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, all that I say unto thee concerning all the ordinances of the house of the Lord, and all the laws thereof, and mark well entering in the mark well the entering in of the house, with every going forth of the sanctuary. And thou shalt say to the rebellious, even to the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord God, O ye house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abominations, and that ye have brought into my sanctuary strangers, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sanctuary, to pollute it, even my house, that ye offer my bread, the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant because of all your abominations. And ye have not kept the charge of mine holy things, but ye have kept keepers of my charge in mine sanctuary for yourselves. Thus saith the Lord God, No stranger uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh, shall enter into my sanctuary of any stranger that is among the children of Israel. And the Levites that are gone away far from me when Israel went astray, which went astray away from me after their idols, they shall even bear their iniquity. Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having charge of the gates of the house, and ministering to the people. They shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister unto them. Because they ministered unto them before their idols, and caused the house of Israel to fall into iniquity. Therefore have I lifted up mine hand against them, saith the Lord God, and they shall bear their iniquity. And then they shall not come near unto me to do the office of a priest unto me, nor to come near to any of my holy things in the most holy place. But they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed. But I will make them keepers of the charge of the house for all the services thereof, and for all that shall be done therein. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of the duke, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, saith the Lord God. They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table and minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with fine garments. They shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, while they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads, and shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causeth sweat. And when they goeth forth into the utter court, even into the utter court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments. And they shall not sanctify the people with their garments, neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away. But they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel, or her widow that had been a priest before. And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and the profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. And in controversy they shall stand in judgment, and they shall judge it according to my judgment. And they shall keep my laws and my Sabbaths and mine assemblies, and they shall hallow my Sabbaths. And they shall come at no dead person to defile themselves, but for father, or for mother, or for son, or for daughter, or for brother, or for sister that hath no husband, they may defile themselves. And after he is cleansed, they shall reckon unto him 7 days. And in the day that he goeth into the sanctuary, into the inner court, to minister in the sanctuary, he shall offer a sin offering, saith the Lord God. And it shall be unto him for an inheritance. I am their inheritance. And he shall give them no possession in Israel. I am their possession. They shall eat the meat offering, and the sin offering, and the trespass offering, and every dedicated thing in Israel shall be theirs. And the first of all, the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of every sort of your oblation shall be the priest's. You shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough, that he may cause the blessing to rest in thine house. The priest shall not eat of anything that is dead of itself, or torn, whether it be fowl or beast. Ezekiel chapter 45. Moreover, when ye divide by lot the land for inheritance, ye shall offer an oblation to the Lord, a holy portion of the land. The length thereof shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000. This shall be holy in all the borders thereof round about. Of this there shall be for the sanctuary 500 in length, and 500 in breadth, square round about, the 50 cubits round about for the suburbs thereof. And of this measure shalt thou measure the length of 25,000, and the breadth of 10,000, and it shall be the sanctuary in the most holy place. The holy portion of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, which shall come near to minister unto the Lord, and it shall be a place for their houses, and a holy place for my sanctuary. And the 25,000 in length, and 10,000 in breadth, shall also the Levites, the ministers of the house, have for themselves, for a possession for 20 chambers. And he shall appoint for the possession of the city 5,000 broad and 20,000 long, over against the oblation of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. And a portion shall be for the prince on the one side, and on the other side of the oblation of the holy portion, of the end of the possession of the city, before the oblation of the holy portion, and before the possession of the city, from the west side westward, and from the east side eastward. And the length shall be over against one of the portions from the west border unto the east border. In the land shall be his possession in Israel, and my princes shall no more oppress my people, and the rest of the land shall they give to the house of Israel according to their tribes. Thus saith the Lord God, let it suffice you, O princes of Israel, remove violence and spoil, and execute judgment and justice, and take away your extractions from my people, saith the Lord God. He shall have just balances, and a just ephah, and a just bath. And the ephah and the bath shall be of one measure, that the bath may contain the 10th part of a homer, and the ephah the 10th part of a homer, and the measure thereof shall be after the homer. And the shekels shall be 20 gerahs, 20 shekels, 25 shekels. 15 shekels shall be your manah. This is the oblation that ye shall offer, the 6th part of an ephah of a homer of wheat. And ye shall give the 6th part of an ephah of a homer of barley, concerning the ordinance of oil, the path of oil. He shall offer the 10th part of a bath out of the core, which is a homer of 10 baths, for 10 baths are a homer, and 1 lamb out of the flock out of 200. Out of the fat pastures of Israel, for a meat offering, and for a burnt offering, and for peace offerings, to make reconciliation for them, saith the Lord God. And the people of the land shall give this oblation for the prince in Israel, and it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings, and meat offerings, and drink offerings, in the feasts, and in the new moons, and in the Sabbaths, and all the solemnities of the house of Israel. He shall prepare the sin offering, and the meat offering, and the burnt offering, and the peace offerings, to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord God, in the first month, and the first day of the month, thou shalt take a young bullock without blemish, and cleanse the sanctuary. And the priest shall take the blood of the sin offering, and put it upon the posts of the house, and upon the 4 corners of the settle of the altar, and upon the posts of the gate of the inner court. And thou shalt do the 7th day of the month for every one that erreth, and for him that is simple ye shall reconcile the house. In the first month, and the 14th day of the month, ye shall leave the Passover, ye shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten, and upon the day shall the prince prepare for himself and all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering. And the 7 days of the feast shall he prepare a burnt offering to the Lord, 7 bullocks and 7 rams without blemish, daily the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering. And he shall prepare a meat offering for an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for an ephah. In the 7th month, and the 15th day of the month, shall he do according the like in the feast of 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, according to the meat offering, and according to the oil. Ezekiel chapter 46. Thus saith the Lord God, the inner gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate, and shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before the Lord in the Sabbaths and in the new moons. And the burnt offering that the prince shall offer unto the Lord in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. And the meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the meat offerings and the meat offering for the lambs as he shall be able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And in the day of the new moon it shall be a young bullock without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram that shall be without blemish. And he shall prepare a meat offering, an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and for the lambs according as his hand shall attain to, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And the prince shall enter, he shall go in by the way of the porch of that gate, and he shall go forth by the way thereof, and the people of the land shall come before the Lord. In the solemn feast, he that entereth in by the way of the north gate to worship shall go out by the way of the south gate, and he that entereth by the way of the south gate shall go forth by the way of the north gate. He shall not return by the way of the gate thereby he came in. He shall go forth over against it. And the prince in the midst of them, they shall go in, and when they go forth, shall go forth. And in the feast, and in the solemnities, and the meat offering shall be an ephah to a bullock, and an ephah to a ram, and to the lambs as he is able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And then the prince shall prepare a voluntary burnt offering, or peace offering voluntarily unto the Lord. One shall then open him the gate that looketh toward the east, and he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, as he did on the Sabbath day. Then shall he go forth, and after his going forth one shall shut the gate. Thou shalt daily prepare a burnt offering unto the Lord of a lamb of the first year without blemish. Thou shalt prepare it every morning. And thou shalt prepare a meat offering for it every morning, the sixth part of an ephah, and the third part of a hin of oil to temper with fine flour, a meat offering continual by perpetual ordinance unto the Lord. Thus shall they prepare the Lord, and the meat offering, and the oil, every morning for a continual burnt offering. Thus saith the Lord God, if a prince give a gift unto any of his sons, the inheritance thereof shall be his sons, it shall be their possession by inheritance. But he shall give the gift of his inheritance to one of his servants. Then it shall be his to the year of liberty. After it shall return to the prince by his inheritance but his inheritance shall be his sons for them. Moreover, the prince take not of the people's inheritance by oppression, to thrust them out of their possession, but he shall give his son inheritance out of his own possession, that my people may be not scattered, every man from his possession. After he brought through the entry, which is at the side of the gate, unto the holy chambers of the priest, which looketh toward the north, and behold, there is a place on the two sides westward. Then said he unto me, This is the place where the priest shall broil the trespass offering and the sin offering, where they shall bake the meat offering, that they bear them not into the utter court to sanctify the people. Then he brought me forth unto the utter court, and caused me to pass by the four corners of the court. And behold, in every corner of the court there was a court, and in the four corners of the court there were courts joined of 40 cubits long and 30 broad. These four corners were of one measure, and there was a row of building round about them four, and it was made with boiling places under the rows round about them. Then said he unto me, These are the places of them that boil, where the ministers of the house shall boil the sacrifice of the people. Ezekiel Chapter 47. Afterward he brought me unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house, eastward, for the forefront of the house stood against the east, and the waters came down from under the right side of the house, at the side of the altar, at the south side of the altar. Then brought he me out of the way of the gate northward, and led me about the way, without unto the utter gate by the way that looketh eastward, and behold, there ran out waters on the right side. And the oh boy, here we go. And when the man that had the line in his hand went forth eastward, he measured 1,000 cubits. And he brought me through the waters. The waters were to the ankles. Again he measured 1,000, and brought me through the waters. The waters were to the knees. Again he measured 1,000, and brought me through. The waters were to the loins. Afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass over. For the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? When he brought me, and caused me to return to the brink of the river. And now, when I had returned, and behold, the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then he said unto me, These waters issue out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. And it shall come to pass that everything that liveth, whether it moveth, whithersoever the river shall come, shall live. And there shall be a great multitude of fish, because these waters shall come hither, for they shall be healed. And everything shall live whither the river cometh. And it shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon it from the Engadai even unto Engalium. They shall be a place to spread forth their nets. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceedingly many. But the miry places thereof and the marshes thereof shall not be healed, they shall be given to salt. And by the river, upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall go forth new fruit according to his mouth, because their waters they issued out of the sanctuary. And the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine. Thus saith the Lord God, this shall be a border whereby ye shall inherit the land. According to the 12 tribes of Israel, Joseph shall have 2 portions, and he shall inherit it, one as as well as another, concerning that which I have lifted up mine hand to give it unto your fathers. And this land shall fall unto you for inheritance. And this shall be by the border of the land unto the north side from the great sea, the way of Hethlon, as men go to Zedad. Hamath, Belathoth, Sibarium, which between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath. Hazar Hetakon, which is by the coast of Haran. And the border from the sea shall be Hazaran, the border of Damascus, and the northward, and the border of Hamath, this is the north side. And the east side shall be the east side ye shall measure from Haran, and from Damascus, and from Gilead, and from the land of Israel by Jordan, and from the border unto the east sea, and this is the east side. And the south side southward from Tamar, even to the waters of the strife. In Kadesh, the river to the great sea, this is the south side southward. The west side also shall be the great sea from the border till a man come over against Hamath. This is the west side. So shall ye divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall ye give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. Ezekiel chapter 48. Now these are the names of the tribes from the north end to the coast of the way of Hethlon, as one goes to Hamath, Hazaranan, the border of Damascus northward to the coast of Hamath, for these are his sides, east and west, a portion for Dan. And by the border of Dan from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Asher. And by the border of Asher from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Naphtali. And by the border of Naphtali from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Manasseh. And by the portion of Manasseh from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Ephraim. And by the border of Ephraim from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Reuben. And by the border of Reuben from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Judah. And by the border of Judah from the east side unto the west side shall be an offering which ye shall offer of 5,020,000 reeds in breadth, and in length as one of the other parts from the east side unto the west side. And the sanctuary shall be in the midst of it. The oblation that ye shall offer unto the Lord shall be 5,020,000 in length, and of 10,000 in breadth. And for them even for the priest shall be his holy oblation. Toward the north 5,020,000 in length, and toward the west 10,000 in breadth, and toward the east 10,000 in breadth, and toward the south 5,020,000 in length. And the sanctuary of the Lord shall be in the midst thereof. It shall be for the priests that are sanctified of the sons of Zadok, which have kept my charge, which went not astray when the children of Israel went astray, as the Levites went astray. And this oblation of the land which is offered shall be unto them a thing most holy by the borders of the Levites. And over against the borders of the priests the Levites shall have 5,020,000 in length, and 10,000 in breadth. All the length shall be 5,020,000, and breadth 10,000. And they shall not sell of it, neither exchange nor alienate the first fruits of the land, for it is holy unto the Lord. And the 5,000 which is left in the breadth over against the 5,020,000 shall be a profane place for the city, for the dwelling, and for suburbs, and the city shall be in the midst thereof. And these shall be a measures thereof: the north side 4,500, and the south side 4,500, and on the east side 4,500, and the west side 4,500. And the suburbs of the city shall be toward the north 250, and toward the south 250, and toward the east 250, and toward the west 250. And the residue in length over against the oblation of the holy portion shall be 10,000 eastward, and 10,000 westward, and shall be over against the oblation of the holy portion. And the increase thereof shall be for food unto them that serve the city. And they that serve the city shall serve it out of the tribes of Israel. All the oblation shall be 5,020,000 by 5,020,000. Ye shall offer the oblation foursquare, and the possession of the city. And the residue shall be for the prince on the one side, and on the other side, and on the other for the holy oblation. And of the possession of the city over against the 5,020,000 of the oblation toward the east border, and the westward over against the 5,020,000 toward the west border, over against proportions for the prince, it shall be the holy oblation. habitation, and the sanctuary of the house shall be in the midst thereof. Moreover, from the possession of the Levites and from the possession of the city, being in the midst of that which is the princes, between the border of Judah and the border of Benjamin, shall be for the prince. And for the rest of the tribes, from the east side unto the west side, Benjamin shall have a portion. And from the border of Benjamin, from the east side unto the west side, Simon shall have a portion. And from the border of Simon, from the east side unto the west side, Issachar a portion. And by the border of Issachar, from the east side unto the west side, Zebulun a portion. And by the border of Zebulun, from the east side unto the west side, Gad a portion. And by the border of Gad at the south end southward, the border shall be from Tamar unto the waters of strife and Kadesh, and to the river toward the great sea. This is the land that ye shall divide by lot unto the tribes of Israel for inheritance. And these are their portions, saith the Lord God. And these are the goings out of the city on the north end, 4,500 measures. And the gates of the city shall be after the names of the tribes of Israel, 3 gates northward, 1 for Reuben, 1 for Judah, one gate for Reuben, 1 gate for Judah, 1 gate for Levi. And at the east end 4,500 and 3 gates, 1 gate for Joseph, 1 gate for Benjamin, and 1 gate for Dan. And at the south end 4,500 measures and 3 gates, 1 gate for Simon, 1 gate for Issachar, 1 gate for Zebulun. At the west gate 4,500 and 3 gates, 1 gate for Gad, 1 gate for Asher, and 1 gate for Naphtali. It was round about 18,000 measures, and the name of the city from that day shall be, The Lord is here. Till next time.